Hello and welcome to another edition. It's been a while, but another edition of Office Hours with the Practical Prof and Friends. And hey, I got a great friend with me today, and Tim Carr, who was with us. Oh my gosh, a couple of years back, probably pre-COVID, talking about acting and talking about all the exciting things that he does for people and for other people and for his own career and just really good stuff. So, Tim, welcome back. It's great to see you. How are you?
I feel great. How are you?
Good. I'm
Good.
good.
It was a couple years ago. I was just thinking about that
Yeah.
because I was it was pre-COVID,
Yeah.
and I had just done a documentary about a blood bank because we were talking about blood donation. And then
Yes.
there was a shooting right before I started filming that. So, and then the world ended. So,
Uh, I know.
very upbeat. It was a very upbeat movie.
Yeah. But we're back.
We're back. And here's why we're back,
Yeah.
because it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's your turn. It is
Oh,
your turn to have the light on you. Your turn.
really?
You
Uh,
have been such a proud supporter
I
and
know.
ally of so many for so many years. And I watched your film, The Caregiver, 2 weeks ago. I think
Mhm.
it's when we I watched it late at night, and I realized I'm sitting there, grown man, wiping tears out of my eyes because of the closing credits, which I'm not going to spoil. I want everyone to watch every credit at the end, and realized it's Santo needs to have someone ask him questions, because I had a bunch of questions about the film and your career, and and what brought you to this.
Yeah.
So I'm taking over the Practical Prof,
Okay. This is
featuring in
a first right
parentheses.
here. All right. We'll try to make it interesting. I trust you.
Okay, well, good, because I want to talk about the movie. I thought it was
All
beautiful.
right.
Let's just talk about The Caregiver first,
Sure.
because it's your recent film, and I hope at the end there's going to be a way where people can see it. I want the masses to be able to see it. Um, this was a very well done, um,
Thank you.
seemingly very personal film to you. I love that you really put a spotlight on caregivers, non-paid caregivers that take care of loved ones that might need the assistance. Um, and there was something that mentioned here: 53 million serve as private caregivers. When you had that thought to make it as a film, what kind of the feelings were you trying to convey? Because what I saw was very clear, but I was wondering how you got from that feeling to the screen.
I think the main thing is I was really fortunate when I was the kind of the primary caregiver for my folks to have that village. We talk about it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a village to take care of your parents. And I had a really supportive employer at Moravian. I had a really supportive, small family, but I mean, then I had my friends who are family. And I think there's a lot of people who don't have that. And I don't know how they do it. I mean, I know it was really challenging at times for me. And the feeling that I really wanted to express is we really have to take care of caregivers. I think I was pretty well taken care of, very fortunate. But as I said, I don't think there are a lot of people that had that same opportunity, and yet every day they're there for their loved ones, and it's really an unsung hero if there ever was one, because there's so many competing and complex feelings and emotions, and I tried to capture a little bit of that in the film. It's a short film, as you know, but that was kind of the main intent.
I thought it was really well done. And you did mention in the credits, I'm only going to give out one of the credits here, but you did mention that there was a private Facebook group where caregivers could kind of chat and maybe work together and maybe inspire one another. Is there a site or something like that for the non-Facebook people, or maybe there was something that we could put at the end of our chat where people could go just in case they want to find others or other like-minded people?
There are so many that I'm finding. There's so many people in this situation, as you said, 53 million. And here's what I think happens: caregivers don't have time to go to support groups. They don't really have time to like even talk on the phone sometimes. So I created the Facebook page, and I'm got to get back to giving that more attention.
You created that.
Yeah,
No
yeah, because
kidding.
it's a companion to the book. So what I'm finding is the book that I wrote 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I'm now using in combination with the film as a way to kind of present to folks, and it really gets people talking. And so my plan is to, your question about, I know there's other resources, the National Alliance for Family Caregivers, things like that that exist, but, and I think there are chats and talks and groups, but the caregivers that I've known, myself included, you just don't reach out because you feel guilty. You feel like you shouldn't be complaining. You should be taking care of these people, and why are you complaining? You have, so it's kind of, I don't know where we go with that, but I'm hoping that the film and talk and the book can kind of change that attitude, that people, it's almost like caregivers in their closet, they're of their own.
That's such a fascinating outlook on that. Um, what I loved about it, which is what I love about all of your projects, is that you don't necessarily have a comfort zone, or if you do have one, you don't stay in it.
I don't think
So
that's
I love that, because in what we do,
it.
there
I don't
is
I don't think too much.
that's probably the smart move.
Yeah.
Like there's so many, so many colleagues I have in this business where we have like we'll have two projects, and we'll have like, okay, the one that I want to do and the one that's going to be commercially viable, or the one that's in my comfort zone, the one that I know will do
Yeah.
fine. And you don't have that comfort zone. You really dive into so many different topics and things. The first thing that you'd ever sent me was I don't want to spoil anything, but it was a story of a man told from his dog's point of view.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was gorgeous. And
My
I'm
dad's
sitting, I
first
remember
dog.
reading that one where I watched The Caregiver late at night. I read that script in the morning. And
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there, I'm just whipping through the pages because it was so captivating. And then when we worked together on Franklin Street Station, um, there could be a supernatural idealism to that, but I'm going to get back to the theme of your work in a minute. And then you had a film called A Walk in the Park, which was a
Yeah.
young man dealing with his feelings and his family, and there's some sexuality that he was working with,
That
and
that was another one that came from a statistic. 14% of 14% of homeless people are youth in America. 40% of homeless youth are LGBTQ. They're kicked out. I like I
forty
can't
percent
even.
of all 40% of not all homelessness
14% are youth of the
youth
homeless
of that
population.
14%.
And of that 14%,
Wow.
40% have been kicked out or run away because of their sexuality.
Wow.
And I can't, like, I mean, come on. Like, my parents' generation, it wasn't an easy thing, but they dealt with it, they figured it out, and there was never a question of whether or not my parents loved me or cared about me. I I just like, and I think that's what helps me like not have an ego about, well, let's go into this subject, because to me, like, I just created a new I don't know, tagline for Marabella Enterprises: advocate, educate, and entertain. And I'm sorry, but like, this avocation doesn't just pick and choose. It's like, what's out there now? What do we need to talk about that we're not talking about?
Right. Right. Um, yeah. And then if from that, which I thought was also an incredibly well done film, which I loved. And I think that came out during the pandemic, right? Did you release that
Yeah,
during?
it
That
was
was something I think everyone needed to see during the pandemic. And I'm glad
2020.
you released it. I mean, I'm not sure you plan to release it during a worldwide pandemic.
Non-pandemic.
You'd be like, you know what? This is marketing.
This is.
Um,
I think I'll wait till the pandemic happens.
and then I'm just going to drop it. Yeah, right in there.
Well, that
Um,
one actually wound up on Here TV for I think they were they did a non-exclusive license, which was really sweet, and Reverie.tv originally picked it up, so it got a little bit of play.
it deserved it. It was a beautiful
Thanks.
movie.
Thanks.
And then even during, I think during the pandemic again, you did a table read of a family comedy. And what was that
Yeah,
called?
Raising the Rents.
I loved it. It's so good. Great cast. But what I did notice, and then when I originally wrote about your comfort zone, about how you just jump from different types of film, I didn't, and after thinking about that, I did think that I think you do write about love. I think I think Raising the Rents is definitely a family comedy with, we all have crazy families. We
Mm,
do. We do. And if you don't, the people out there don't, they're just not looking hard enough.
right.
Trust me, we all have crazy families.
Right.
It's not a secret. But I think what you write is about love. I think you wrote with The Caregiver, it's about loving your parents no matter what. Right? Even Franklin Street Station is, I think, your love for a city. I think, there's love everywhere you go. So I think that is at least a common theme that I've been able to find with your projects. But there's so much heart in all of them. And I implore anyone out there to dig into your filmography and just read about it, or read about it, watch it, hear about it, because you really are putting some great work out there. And it's about time somebody put the spotlight on you and your work.
That's very,
So
very
I
kind.
would be remiss if I did not talk about Barry Shebetone's performance in The Caregiver.
Yeah.
He was Lenny in Franklin Street Station. He was a staple in all of your projects, most of your projects.
Yeah, he's one of the few actors, along with Kirk, who played the father,
Right.
who are theater actors by training, but had that ability to kind of cross over and not be too big on the because the little screen or even the big screen, you don't need to be the theater person, theater acting.
The
And
late great Mike Lemmon used to say when he would bring theater actors in, and myself included, he's like, I back up because eventually everyone comes in, they're going to be like, blah! He's like, they have to pull me off the wall when it's done, because theater actors, they broadcast, they
yeah,
enunciate, and film, you don't need all of that. You
right.
need half of that, or maybe even half of that.
Yeah.
But
Barry, I think it was a challenging role, and I think you're right. I think Barry was that right balance of, like, he was at the edge. He was just like ready to lose it, and then he'd pull himself back, and then he was at the edge, and because that's really what this roller coaster of caregiving is like.
I thought it was an absolutely remarkable performance. I thought he was phenomenal. When you see him in Lenny Street Station, when you see him in Lenny in Franklin Street Station, and then you see, I'm not sure I knew he had that performance in him. I knew he was great in Franklin Street, but he
Right.
went to a next level, and that was you directing that. How did you get that performance out of him, or was he giving you that performance, or how did you guys collaborate on getting that performance?
The this is like an incredible thing about having a community. Whether it's at a workplace or just a film or theater community. This is what we did, and I picked these folks particularly because I trust them. Kirk, who played the dad, and Barry, we sat down and we talked through the script, and I my writing is getting better, but it needs a lot of work, and I want to keep improving my craft. And there's lots of things that I look at it and like, oh my God, why did I write that? Why? We went through it, and I made changes. I'm like, why this doesn't feel right to you? So I think the key for me is as a very new director, because I've been writing a lot but not directing film. I've directed theater for 30 some years. But the key was like being able to be open enough that it's okay if they critique this and they say, that doesn't really work. And we were supposed to shoot in January, and I'm like, this isn't ready. I don't like it. I don't like the script. There's something, and then a new character emerged. That's when the young brother emerged. As
Really?
that's how it happened because it's like there's something missing here. I'm an only child, but that's not the story. I wanted it to be a universal story, more universal. So I think the answer is being a good casting director, which I'm pretty good at. I pick the right people because then whatever lacks, they're gonna make up more than make up. And both of those actors and Tom Rader who played Todd,
God, yeah.
he's actually a news reporter for Channel 69 News,
No
but
kidding.
he has a background in acting. And uh, yeah, I mean, it was just, yeah, I had certain things that I wanted to have happen, but honestly, I didn't have to do much. I called what I wanted to see on the screen, and maybe we did another take, but we went through this because they were so prepared. They're so talented. Like, okay, you're not
I
gonna.
thought the brother was a great bit. I thought it was
Yeah,
really, it was almost like Barry,
he was a
Barry was
jerk,
calling
right?
it Barry. Barry was competing against somebody who
Yeah.
wasn't there the whole time. And I thought it was a great touch.
Well,
If
he was well because he is because from the person he was caring for, the dad in this case, set up that competition. Now, yeah, okay, you can say, well, that's part of the dementia, but that happens. That's part of the family dynamic. I've heard so many people tell me they have four siblings, and they're the ones that took upon themselves to take the role of caregiver.
wow. Wow.
It's I get it, but it's sad because it's so hard, and then to have other people that could really kind of do some of the heavy lifting or help, or at least come by, and be there once in a while.
Wow. If I could just lose everyone for a minute with a little inside baseball talk, I need to
Yes.
talk about your camera work in this movie. Um, because
Justin
I
Patrick
noticed
Lander was our DP.
it was fun. I was just geeking out about that as much as I was anything else.
Yeah,
And from the father's point of view, was a kind of a shaky cam, and the way the camera work there was phenomenal. There was a shot where his head went down and Barry's head was there. Oh, it was great. It was really, really, really great. I don't
but
want to I don't want to go too deep into camera work
no,
because
but
I'm not sure how much our audience is going to be like, okay, enough about the steady
yeah, right.
cam.
It's like it's a camera.
It's a camera.
No,
Shut up.
but there was a lot of thought that Justin put into kind of that design, and we sat down and talked about my vision and then his vision of it, and it was probably the first time that I really had a sense of an artistic film directing because I had a DP, and I've had great DPs, but like I think I was more ready to go to that level, so I let the DP have more latitude. Because I'm not a camera person. I don't see through the lens. So I really want to, and that's the other thing I think that helps is I know what I'm good at. I know what I need to work on or what I'm not good at, and I trust people, and I have the people that I trust working with me, so that like, yeah, you think we should do that? Okay, I see that.
To have that kind of cam again, I'll go back to the camera. Again, to have that camera work in a movie where it was like just a room. You guys
Yeah,
were in maybe shot in 3 rooms total in that entire film, and the
yeah,
camera work was blowing my mind.
cool.
Um, so I had to be. It really that was like you directed it, and you had great camera work, and really it was really something else. And I saw how the camera reacted from each character's point of view too, which I thought was really remarkable.
Yeah, it's like I'm still a student of film. It's theater was my first stuff, and so I'm learning so much. And like I think I learned a lot from doing this project about how beautiful the camera can help you tell the story.
Right. Yeah, and that's a perfect example of how that did exactly that. Um, One thing that's affected me because we've worked together as well as others is your seemingly undying love for Reading, Pennsylvania, the city. You know, the way you write it into things and love it and show such reverence for it is on par with when Spike Lee shoots in New York or when Paul Thomas Anderson shoots in California. Um, is Reading like a muse to you, or is it just very accessible for you to set up a film because it does have so many moving parts in that city?
Yes.
Yes, there it is.
Because I've been this diehard Reading fan. I mean, I lived here in my late 20s, then I lived 15 minutes away because I was teaching at Moravian, but I was always here, but less engaged. And then I'm back, and there's so much. I love this community. I love the people. I love what we have in terms of what we can offer filmmakers, but I just love that you can play here with people who want to play and create, and you have a community that really wants you to play and cooperates. And in addition to the city, it's of course the dog is always a part of it too.
Of course, Raphael. I was about to
Raphael,
mention that.
he heard that, he was kind of like upset you didn't say that too. But yeah,
He
those
was
are the two
excellent in that movie. He
things.
was giving kisses. He was wearing shirts. He did a great job in the film.
Yeah, he was he was a diva. Let's say that.
His performances are getting incredible.
Well, he was
Yeah,
pretty much of a diva this time. He was
yeah.
not, when he was supposed to bark, he was silent, and when he was supposed to be silent, he was barking. But
Demanded his own trailer, had an
yeah, I know.
entourage.
It's like, gosh.
So
But
I also had a theory about the caregiver.
okay.
And I know on the surface, it was about a young man assisting his elderly father,
Hmm.
yeah, taking care of someone else.
Hmm.
My theory, and I might be overlooking this, I know you also recently retired from. I was wondering how much of that lent itself to that, where maybe you were the caregiver to so many and you were stepping away from that. And I was wondering if they were in any way lending to each other, or if I'm just making things up and overlooking into things.
That's really interesting. As I said at the beginning, this is such a personal story because I took care of both my parents and had a wonderful caregiver who helped us and helped me and enabled me to go to my job occasionally when I needed to. But I think that's interesting. I didn't really think about that. I I think I needed a button on this whole era of my life, and I think part of it was to honor my parents because caregiving is a gift. You give to that person you're taking care of, but you also get. Maybe you don't always see it when you're in it, but you truly get. Like I have peace now because of the choices I made about taking care of my folks. I have no regrets. I miss them dearly. I get sad occasionally, but I'm at peace. And I think this was that button for that part of the story of my story to kind of, okay, this is an honor of caregivers and them. And that's interesting though, because you're saying like maybe there is, because
Maybe you were
I
the
love,
caregiver as well, and
yeah,
you were
I love
closing that
people,
chapter.
right? And I love people, and I love taking care of everybody, and I think I need to start taking care of myself a little more. And for Italian Catholics to say that's because that's like, ooh, that's a little self-centered there, isn't it? A little self-absorbed. It's like,
Nobody would ever say that. I think if anybody knows anything, if anybody's ever listened to the pod before, they'll know this is the first time you're talking about yourself. And it's only because I've been bugging you about it for 2
yeah, I
weeks.
know.
So,
But get me in at a bar or a restaurant and having a few beers, then you won't be able to stop.
Reading, you heard him. You heard him. And to your point, you are the one that showed me Reading. Prior to coming to the festival, I'd been to Reading to work, and I think, at the mall because I was a spokesperson for Caress body soap. They were just paying, I don't know. So I showed up with a bunch of flowery soap.
Oh my God.
Caress, remember the Caress body,
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
was. I don't
yeah.
know why they paid me. They put me in a hotel, and
Right?
so that was my experience in Reading, handing out like, here you go. And we had the bottles out, but nobody wanted the bottle. No, everybody wanted the bottles, but we were giving out like ketchup-sized packets of it.
Yeah.
They didn't want that. They're like, I want a bottle. Like people were. One dude, like this buff dude, was like, give me one of those t-shirts. It was like, it said caress and it had like flower petals over it. I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
okay, here you go, man. So that was my experience with Reading.
This was at a mall? At the mall?
At the mall. Yeah. Yeah. For a real long time. They had me touring around doing that. When you're a spokesperson, you get like, I don't know where the money comes from, but like you get put up in hotels and stuff, and like your job is just to stand there and give out stuff. I did give a bottle to, this is funny, I don't know if that stand is still there. I haven't been to the Reading Mall in a million years, but I did give bottles of Caress to the guys at the Giro, I don't know how to say it,
Yeah.
place. And they gave me a bunch of free sandwiches all weekend. So, I don't know if they're still there, or I should be talking about the free sandwiches they gave me. But that was my experience with Reading.
Wow.
So you then, when the Reading Film Festival was going on, I came up and I was in that, and I saw all of the things that you write about and that you love, and it made sense. There are great restaurants, there's great people there, there's a great film scene, there's great movie theaters, there's all kinds of things to do there.
Yeah.
So to your point, you have shared that, and I see that, and the former Caress guy. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'd never seen this part of Reading before.
Oh my gosh. I don't
No, that was
even know
there is
that.
not a single word of that is untrue. Uh, so you've given a lot of time, and I hope everyone that listens is learning about you, because you've always shined a light on so many other people. So I'm going to end with a quick fire, rapid speed round of questions, and it's
Okay.
all going to be about you, and it doesn't have to be anything. If you want to explain it, you can. If you want to give me one answer, we can move right on to the next one. Okay.
And you had a clever name. I didn't really, I'll tell you, I didn't really look at the questions because I wanted to kind of be spontaneous. But
Spoiler alert, I do send all my questions, although Santo did not get my theory that he might be the caregiver. Like, that was
yeah.
brand new. He did
No,
not
I
know that
know.
was
I
coming.
yeah, that's really cool. But I like the name of this round. What did you call it?
Oh my,
Comfort something?
it's called Tim's Comfort Speed Round. It's
Yeah.
all about comfort and joy, because that's
I love it.
everyone deserves
And
it.
that's what you're all about too. You know that.
Trying. It's
You
a
are.
mission. It's ongoing to try to get there. So,
You
but this
are.
is all about comfort and joy.
All right.
So, okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So you're channel surfing. It's a Sunday afternoon. It's a little cloudy out. Nothing good going on outside. You got a little time with the TV. What is one thing that you will stop on every time without even thinking?
TV land.
Really? With
Any
anything specific, or just whatever's on?
Golden Girls.
Nice, nice.
Especially on a Sunday. They're still on Sundays.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Who's your favorite?
Betty White.
It's a good pick. Everybody
Yeah.
likes Betty White. B. Arthur, though, 100-mile-an-hour comedy fastball
Oh
every
my
time.
gosh. She's amazing.
Could deliver a joke, just a heavyweight fighter
Yeah.
of a joke teller.
And I just feel like I feel like Rose's character is so misunderstood, and I've so been her so much of my life.
Do you know, like, I have to think about that performance too. Like, she played that character so perfectly, where it's like it would be hard to, like, she would sometimes just not make the joke, and that became the joke.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she was playing chess, I was playing checkers. Like, it's next level.
Yep.
To be able to have that and just be like, I'm gonna go do that,
I know.
it's incredible. Okay, same thing. What's something, it can be a TV show, it can be anything, that just makes you laugh every time? It could be a type of humor, it can be a song, it can be anything.
I Love Lucy.
I Love Lucy. Wow, another 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
All the time. Like it's laugh out loud. Like I really want to laugh out loud. And sometimes it's being with people, going out and having a meal together, but just laughing. I just want to laugh. There's so much that we don't laugh about. So yeah, anything that makes me laugh, and like on TV, I Love Lucy. There's certain friends that I can say the dumbest things and they're like cackling because they think it's funny, and it's like, I love you guys.
It's the best. It's the best. Um, speaking of which, there's nothing that makes me laugh more, and it's not about me, but there's something that never makes me not laugh, and it's like when there's a talking animal. Like
Yeah.
anytime, I don't know why, it makes me laugh so hard. Like I'll
You
see
must.
commercials and a dog will be like, "Hey there," and I'm dead. I'm just done. It's
Well,
just funny every time.
you like the groundhog?
I was going to be that voice.
Oh my
I
God,
actually was in the studio doing
Bill.
a voice that they were going to pick from. I was going to be Gus the Groundhog.
That's the groundhog. It's
Yeah,
so.
it hurts every time I see those commercials.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
They now actually, I think they shoot those in California now. They shoot
Really?
Pennsylvania lottery commercials in
Pennsylvania and
California.
California. Go figure.
Right.
That's
Take that,
another.
Gus the Groundhog.
It's another runaway production.
Right. It's got Gus. You want to talk about Raphael getting too big for his britches? Gus the Groundhog shooting his stuff in
In
California, man.
California.
So, what is your favorite dessert?
Well, I can't eat it often, but my favorite dessert is cherry cheesecake.
Ooh,
And being a lactose intolerant, I usually reserve that for when I'm at home.
perfect.
Yeah.
What do you drink with it? Do you drink coffee? You drink milk with it?
Oh, I can't drink milk.
If you're already going in with a cheesecake, you might as well
No,
go
my
all
God, I
in.
haven't had a glass of milk in 30 years. When I was two,
What's that?
since I was two,
Since you're two.
30 years ago.
If
No, probably a martini
with the cheesecake, nice.
or
That's living.
maybe an espresso. I don't drink coffee, but for some reason I like espresso. Go figure. Maybe it's the
Classy.
amaretto that I put in it.
Perfect. Perfect. I hope everybody goes and has some cheesecake and amaretto espresso after this.
There we go.
If your life had a soundtrack, and all our lives do, what's a song that would be on it?
Oh, this is a no-brainer. What I Did for Love from Chorus Line
Oh, nice.
gives me chills because so Dad had a band and played weddings and proms. All my life I grew up with him in his band, and every once in a while we do things together that way. But we always connected through the music, and we did shows that I wrote, and I drug him along, and he would always do whatever I asked because he was a sweetheart. And the song "What I Did for Love" kind of became like my, I don't know, anthem because it just, I don't know, it just was, that was, it seems like every decade I had a different Broadway show that was my favorite. And the 70s was a Chorus Line. And this song, it's like, it's just, I think, I mean, I try to do what I do out of love. And it just always resonated.
Oh, and that's your dad's song that you used in the film, right?
Never Too Old to Dream, which was one of his songs. Yeah. I,
Oh,
I, I'm so glad I did this. We recorded in a studio 3 or 4 of his songs with a professional singer and my dad playing. So I have all that. So yeah, that was him. That was him playing.
and it's in the film. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. My last question is: what is a movie that puts you in a good mood every time you see it? It could be a song or a TV show as well.
Oh no, that's easy. E.T.
That puts you in a good mood.
Yeah, because I can get like verklempt talking about like the when he touched his heart.
It's great.
That's all
It's
we
great.
live for. We live for connecting with other beings. Sometimes they're human, sometimes they're canine, sometimes but they're living beings, and we just I just worry that we lose that. I've seen that film, I don't know, it's one of the few films I've seen multiple times, like literally 7, 8 times, 4 of those in the theater, and then the rest the
Wow.
last one. And because it has heart. I mean, what was his name? Neil Diamond,
Put on your heart light.
on your heart light, right? Because that's what it's all about. And I just like, how can you not be in a good mood when even though he's leaving, they're always connected. And I think even lately, I find that grief is this weird thing that you kind of think you're done, and then you're not, and then it comes back. And so I think like that kind of gets you through it when you connect with somebody like your parents or somebody, a loved one, so deeply that you're not really disconnected. Your heart, you're connected there, and it's in a different way. And even though he was going back to his other alien world, he was always connected.
It's beautiful. And then remember the flowers came back? I got to tell you though, dead ET traumatized the heck out of me when I was a kid. I'm not sure I ever got
Oh my
over it.
God. Oh my God, that's right. I forgot
I
about
think
that
about
part.
Dead ET like once a month still, and it's been a long time since that movie's been out. I'm like, remember he was all pale?
I know. And then he just like jumps up and he breathes and it's like
Oh, and
everybody.
it's all funny. Like
Yeah,
we went from grief to laughter, and
right.
maybe to your point,
But that is
that's what this is all
that
about.
is exactly. I didn't think of that scene, but that's wow. Damn.
That's beautiful.
You are amazing.
No,
Thank you.
I think that's a perfect note to end on. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Practical Prof.
Yeah.
Our guest has been Santo Marabella. His film, The Caregiver, is out now.
Yeah, it's one of those things I'm still kind of shopping and deciding how to. We've done
Will be
three
out
showings.
soon.
I hope. Well, we did a premiere. I always do premieres for Reading Community, so we did one here. I did one or two online, and then I did one at one of the library. I'll do different ones, but for now I can't release it publicly
That's
yet
okay.
because I don't know what I'm doing with it. But yeah,
You
thank
can
you.
follow Santo online, where you will find more details about The Caregiver at it's at Instagram,
Practical Prof.
Practical Prof.
Marabella Enterprises. If you Google that, it'll be up on
It'll
all the
pop right
places.
up and you can get all the details there. So
So,
thank you for joining us, everyone. And thank
thank
you for
you.
letting me
Real quick,
crash your podcast.
I loved it. I mean, I really appreciate it, and you've always been such a great support and a really good friend. So it means a lot to do this with you, and I appreciate that. Real quick, uh, tell us what you're doing, like, what's coming up for you.
Oh,
It's fun stuff.
I'm doing a TV series in 10, oh my gosh, 10, no, not 10 days, about 13. We're doing a film with the great Jacob Stargrove, who directed a film called Down with the Boogie a couple of years ago, as well as a film called The Deal. This is called The Grounders. And I tell you, any movie that you're looking for is there. It's a little bit rockabilly, it's a little bit
Mhm.
horror, it's a little bit funny. It's going to be a really wild ride, but I know we're in really good hands because Jacob Stargrove loves what he does, like you do, Santo. And so it's going to come across, and it's going to be beautiful. And there's a couple films, there are a couple scripts that we're talking about getting it into a movie soon. One with a very interesting name actor attached. So we have to make sure the script is where it wants to be.
Right.
And then we can hopefully I can announce that soon. That's going to be very fun. So that's going to be a fun announcement. But I'm everywhere. I used to do a lot of live sketch comedy with
Yeah.
Upright Citizens Brigade and things like that. But ever since the world ended, Upright Citizens Brigade closed. They just opened again in LA. So there
Okay.
hasn't been, like, the live world is starting to get back on its feet a little bit. And I hope to kind of get out there again soon too.
I hope so too. Just know that you always got Reading and me on your back. Got your
Oh,
back.
I love it. And not the Reading Mall, where there's probably still caress packets
I don't.
lying
Well,
around there
one of the
somewhere.
malls is gone. They knocked down the fairgrounds. The Berkshire Mall is still there. So it might have been the one on why missing the Berkshire Mall.
Maybe. I can't remember. If I see it, I'll Google both. I'll
There
let you
was
know
a
which one
food
it
court
was.
upstairs. There was a food court upstairs.
The food court was wherever I was giving out the stuff. I didn't have to walk anywhere. I just walked over.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all kind of like, it was like a very big open mall.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Could have
I
been
don't know.
fairgrounds.
A while ago. Yeah.
Well, this is really fun, and thank you, Tim, for being with me and for this change of pace.
You are your best guest.
You are you. No, yeah, you're pretty much in that position there.
So
Best,
everyone, please look
best
out for
guest host.
Santo's Santo's projects, if they're readings or if they're films like this one, you will not be disappointed, I promise.
Thanks. Thank you, Tim, and thank you for listening and watching Office Hours of Practical Prof. See you soon. Take care.